Carol Ann, here to give you some useless yet interesting facts. Now, we all know that not every little kid's show is as innocent as it seems, right? Well, today, I'm going to lay some rumors to rest about a controversial yet very popular show. SpongeBob SquarePants, the most popular and most longest running little kids show ever, has a dark side. Each one of these 7 main characters is linked with one of the 7 deadly sins in the Holy Bible. So, are you ready, kids? Let's get to it. The first character I'll be talking about is Squidward Tentacles, who is represented as the sin of wrath. According to Christianity.com, wrath is a strong, vengeful hatred or resentment. Squidward is best known for his strong resentment towards SpongeBob and Patrick just because they're neighbors. He takes it out on them whenever he can.
You're the worst neighbors ever! You don't deserve to wear those fezes!
That was only one of the many ways Squidward has displaced his anger towards SpongeBob and Patrick. The worst part is these displacements are not controlled, which is another definition of wrath, making the link between Squidward and the sin of wrath very strong.
Whatever.
Next, we have Mr. Krabs, who is also known as the sin of greed. Of all of the comparisons between the 7 deadly sins and the 7 main characters of SpongeBob, this one makes the most sense. Unless you've been living under a rock like Patrick, you should know what greed is. In general, greed is just when you love something so much that you refuse to share it with others. And for Mr. Krabs, that particular thing is money. SpongeBob and Squidward are very much underpaid, and they're working overtime for no extra cost. He only does stuff for the good of money. He'll do whatever it takes to get his hands on a penny, and then refuses to share it or give it to people who need it most, making this cheapskate the greediest person you'll ever know.
Am I really gonna defile this grave for money? Of course I am!
Following Mr. Krabs, literally and figuratively, is Plankton, who is matched with the sin of envy. In his article talking about the sins, Takiano L. Milifant states, "Envy is the feeling received when one person desires what someone else has. Plankton desires a famous restaurant, which his arch nemesis Mr. Krabs has, because of a formula of a very popular sandwich, the Krabby Patty formula." The formula for this recipe is never revealed. Plankton believes that if he can steal this formula and make these sandwiches of his own, he can have a famous restaurant. He wants this recipe so bad that he has done anything he can to get his hands on it, even if his methods are reckless and dangerous.
I'll make it simple. Krabs give me secret formula, or I bring Big Boom Boom to Krusty Krab.
His jealousy for Mr. Krabs' famous restaurant is really bad. You can definitely see him stressing out about this throughout the entire show. If you want something as much as he does, that is envy. And Plankton might as well be the king of envy. Hence why he is referenced as the sin of envy. Represented as the sin of pride, we have the bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, sandy cheeks. Now I know what you're thinking. How is pride a sin? But Erza Taft Benson quotes, "There is no such thing as righteous pride. It is always considered a sin." Now, pride is basically believing in yourself and knowing you are great. Sometimes it can be taken too far. Sandy can be too cocky and think she's the best, which is considered pride. In the earlier seasons of the show, she was always having karate fights with SpongeBob, believing she was better than him. Plus, her famous catchphrase, "They don't call me cheeks for nothing," has symbolism to this. While this one could be a stretch, depending on what you believe pride is, I guess it can be easy to see why Sandy would be represented as the sin of pride.
They don't call me cheeks for nothing.
You knew the lovable starfish had to be included, one of the most popular characters in SpongeBob, Patrick Star. He is represented as the sin of sloth, which, if you know Patrick, makes perfect sense. Siegfried Wenzel claims that sloth is weariness, exhaustion, apathy. These are some of the examples. In almost every episode of SpongeBob, Patrick has some sort of scene where he's sleeping. In one episode, he even won an award for doing absolutely nothing.
For doing absolutely nothing longer than anyone else? Patrick, this trophy's for you!
This character is many things, but energetic is not one of them. Which is why the sin of sloth most represents Patrick Star. Now, we have discussed wrath, envy, greed, pride, and sloth. Only 2 more to go. I bet you're excited for this next one. That's right, the sin of gluttony is next. And who can represent it better? For no other than SpongeBob's pet snail, Gary. Once again, I will refer to Christianity.com. Gluttony is the overindulgence or lack of self-restraint in food, drink, or wealth items, especially as status tokens. And you could say Gary overindulges in food. He's always eating. Remember the episode where Gary wouldn't stop meowing because his favorite treat was all sold out and SpongeBob needed to look everywhere in Bikini Bottom and even in other towns to find a new box? That snail just won't stop eating.
Normally I'm so shy,
We need some snail bites.
Those sold out almost immediately.
There isn't much else to say about this, as we've already proven that Gary is definitely a good representation of the sin of gluttony. It also makes sense to even say that Patrick is the sin of gluttony as well, because he's always eating, if not sleeping. But Gary eats more than Patrick does, and Patrick is already matched up with the sin of sloth. And gluttony represents Gary better than Patrick, so Gary wins. Last but not least, the star of the show, the character you've all probably been waiting for. Who does this character represent? SpongeBob SquarePants, the star of the show, is represented best as the sin of lust. Using a really good definition from Anthony Lane, lust is craving after illegitimate material things, positive sense of yearning, and longing. Now, SpongeBob is nice to literally everyone in Bikini Bottom. This could possibly even be that he yearns to be somebody. After all, he's only a fry cook, and he has no driver's license. I feel really bad for SpongeBob because the one person he's the nicest to hates his guts. All he wants are friends, people he can go to and have fun, which is why he's probably very nice to everyone, even over the top nice. The way he acts toward literally everyone in Bikini Bottom is concerning, especially since he is never mad at anyone. Could this be that he's yearning or longing for attention or friends? Whatever it may be, it's concerning, and that is why he is represented as the sin of lust. And there you have it. The 7 biggest characters from SpongeBob are represented as the 7 deadly sins. Pretty interesting, right? Now, did this video make you think twice on this show? Well, next time you watch it, look for the examples that I've explained, or maybe even find some of your own. Thanks for watching! I hope your head has been filled with useless information that will stay with you for the rest of your lives. Or at least throughout the rest of the day. See you later, Goofy Goobers!